The last line of defense. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the U.S. Horizon, Earth's most sophisticated warship, watching as the massive Concordat fleet materialized from hyperspace. Hundreds of crystalline vessels emerged like stars being born, their bioorganic hulls pulsing with internal light. The sight would have been beautiful if it wasn't so terrifying. "Report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of 7 billion lives resting on her shoulders. Lieutenant James Rodriguez, her tactical officer, spoke without taking his eyes off his holographic display. 517 vessels, Captain. Majority are Concordat heavies, supported by Centauri strike craft. Energy readings suggest they're running hot. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The Galactic Concordat had finally decided to make their move. For decades, they'd labeled humanity a quarantine species, too unpredictable and dangerous to be allowed free rein among the stars. Now they'd come to enforce that quarantine permanently. "Message incoming," announced Communications Officer Maya Patel, her fingers dancing across her neural interface. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Let's hear what they have to say," Sarah replied, straightening her uniform. The bridge crew tensed as a melodious, multi-tone voice filled the command deck. "Attention U.S. Horizon. This is High Administrator Hylith of the Galactic Concordat. Your species has been deemed too volatile for continued autonomous existence. Submit to immediate genetic modification and cultural restructuring, or face extinction. You have 1 planetary rotation to comply." Sarah's jaw tightened. The Concordat, with their perfectly ordered society and rigid hierarchies, had never understood humanity. They saw mankind's diversity, their constant drive for change and improvement, as a disease that needed to be cured. "Administrator," she responded, her voice clear and unwavering. "This is Captain Sarah Chen. Humanity respectfully declines your offer. We will not submit to modification or extinction." A pause followed, filled only by the soft hum of the Horizon's quantum core. When Hylith spoke again, their voice carried a note of genuine confusion. "Captain Chen, you command a single vessel. The entire 7th Fleet of the Concordat stands before you. What do you hope to accomplish?" Dr. Elena Kovac, the ship's chief scientist, caught Sarah's eye from her station. The quantum resonance drive they'd developed in secret was ready. It was experimental, dangerous, and completely unknown to the Concordat. It was also humanity's only hope. "We hope to teach you something about humanity, Administrator," Sarah replied. "Something your studies and observations have missed. When backed into a corner, we don't just fight harder. We change the rules of the game entirely." She cut the transmission with a gesture and turned to her crew. These men and women represented the best of humanity. Different cultures, backgrounds, and specialties united in common cause. They'd trained for this moment, knowing they might be Earth's last line of defense. "All hands, battle stations," Sarah commanded. "Dr. Kovac, begin quantum resonance sequence. Lieutenant Rodriguez, target analysis of their flagship. Maya, broadcast our sensor data back to Earth Command. If this works, they'll need to know how we did it. If it doesn't..." She left the thought unfinished. The bridge erupted into controlled chaos as her orders were carried out. The Horizon's quantum core began to pulse with a new rhythm, its energy spreading through the ship's superstructure in ways the Concordat's sensors couldn't detect. "Captain," Rodriguez called out, "they're launching fighters. Multiple targeting locks detected." Sarah nodded, watching as the crystalline ships began their approach. The Concordat was about to learn that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their ability to think differently, to see possibilities where others saw only walls. "Dr. Kovac, status of the quantum field." 93% synchronized, Captain," Elena replied, her accent thickening with excitement. "The calculations are holding. Theory suggests their bioorganic hulls will be particularly susceptible." The first wave of Centauri fighters streaked toward them, their energy weapons charging. The Horizon's conventional shields wouldn't hold for long against this kind of firepower, but they didn't need to. Time to show them why humanity deserves its place among the stars, Sarah said, her dark eyes reflecting the approaching fleet. Dr. Kovac, activate the resonance field. Lieutenant Rodriguez, prepare to fire on my mark. The Horizon's quantum core thrummed with power as the experimental drive engaged. Around them, space itself seemed to shiver, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The approaching Centauri fighters faltered, their bioorganic systems responding to frequencies they were never designed to encounter. Resonance field at full power, Elena announced. Their hull frequencies are destabilizing exactly as predicted. Sarah allowed herself a moment of pride in human ingenuity. While the Concordat had spent decades studying humanity as a potential threat, humanity had been studying them right back. The quantum resonance drive wasn't just a weapon. It was proof that humans could see patterns and possibilities that even the mighty Concordat had missed. Target their command ship, Sarah ordered. Let's show Administrator Xylith exactly what one human vessel can accomplish. The Horizon's main cannon charge, its energy now modulated by the quantum resonance field. Across the void, the massive Concordat fleet continued their approach, unaware that everything they thought they knew about human capabilities was about to change. The battle for humanity's future was about to begin, and Sarah Chen intended to make it one the Galactic Concordat would never forget. The hidden advantage. The quantum resonance wave rippled through space, invisible to the naked eye, but devastating to the Concordat's bioorganic technology. The first wave of Centauri fighters began to shudder, their crystalline structures vibrating at frequencies that threatened to tear them apart. Direct hit on enemy fighters, Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with concentration. Their hull integrity is failing. They're breaking formation. Dr. Kovac's hands flew across her console, adjusting the quantum field's harmonics. Captain, the resonance effect is cascading through their neural networks. Their bioorganic systems are trying to adapt, but they can't process the conflicting frequencies. Sarah watched as the first squadron of Centauri fighters began to splinter, their beautiful crystalline forms cracking under the quantum strain. It wasn't just a victory. It was confirmation that humanity's understanding of quantum physics had surpassed the Concordat's expectations. High Administrator Kylith is hailing us again, Maya announced, her neural interface pulsing with incoming data. Put them through, Sarah ordered, standing tall on her command platform. The melodious multi-tone voice that filled the bridge now carried an edge of alarm. What technology is this? Your species was assessed as incapable of quantum manipulation at this level. Kylith's voice wavered between frequencies, their usual perfect harmony disrupted by confusion. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Administrator, your assessment was based on what we chose to show you. Humanity has learned that sometimes the best advantage is the one your opponent doesn't know exists. Through the view screen, she watched as the massive Concordat fleet began to adjust their formation, pulling back their bioorganic ships and moving their conventional vessels to the front. It was a logical response, but it wouldn't be enough. Dr. Kovac, Sarah called out, how long can we maintain the resonance field? Elena's fingers danced across her holographic displays, running calculations. Core stability is holding at 87%. We can maintain this level of output for approximately 43 minutes before we need to cycle the quantum matrices. That would have to be enough time. Sarah turned to Rodriguez. Target their command ship's propulsion systems. Let's show them what happens when you underestimate humanity. The Horizon's main cannon charged, its energy now harmonized with the quantum resonance field. The beam that lashed out across space wasn't just a weapon. It was a testament to human ingenuity, carrying within it frequencies that made the Concordat's bioorganic technology turn against itself. The impact on the command ship was spectacular. Crystalline structures that had evolved over millennia began to resonate at frequencies they were never meant to achieve. Fracture lines spread across its hull like cracks in ice, each one glowing with internal light. Multiple secondary explosions detected in their fleet, Rodriguez reported, his tactical display alive with data. Their ship-to-ship neural networks are propagating the resonance effect. They're losing coordinated control. Sarah nodded grimly. The Concordat had built their entire civilization on the principle of perfect harmony, shared consciousness, linked systems, synchronized evolution. They'd never considered that this connectivity could be turned against them. Message from Earth Command, Maya announced. They're receiving our sensor data. The quantum resonance signatures are being analyzed by every research facility on the planet. They're calling it a game changer. More than that, Sarah thought. It was proof that humanity deserved its place among the stars. While the Concordat had spent generations perfecting their existing technology, humans had looked at the same universal laws and seen entirely new possibilities. Captain, Elena called out urgently, I'm detecting energy spikes throughout their fleet. They're attempting to modify their quantum shielding to match our resonance patterns. Sarah had expected this. The Concordat's technological advantage had made them complacent, but they weren't stupid. They would adapt. They would have to, or watch their carefully ordered society crumble in the face of human innovation. Initialize secondary resonance protocols, she ordered. Time to show them why adaptation is humanity's specialty. The quantum core's hum changed pitch as Elena implemented the modifications they'd prepared for this moment. The Horizon's systems began cycling through randomly generated quantum frequencies, creating patterns too chaotic for the Concordat's rigid systems to match. Their fleet is falling back, Rodriguez announced, satisfaction evident in his voice. Multiple ships showing critical hull breaches. Their neural networks are fragmenting. Through the view screen, Sarah watched as the mighty Concordat fleet, pride of the galactic community, was forced to retreat from a single human vessel. But she knew this was just the beginning. The Concordat would return, and next time they would be better prepared. Send to Earth Command, she instructed Maya. Phase 1 successful. The Horizon's quantum resonance technology is confirmed effective against Concordat bioorganic systems. Requesting permission to proceed with Phase 2. As she waited for the response, Sarah reflected on the irony of the situation. The Concordat had come to suppress what they saw as humanity's dangerous unpredictability. Instead, they had forced humanity to prove exactly why that unpredictability was their greatest strength. The battle was won, but the war for humanity's future was just beginning. And Sarah Chen intended to show the galaxy exactly what one species' dangerous unpredictability could accomplish. Shifting tides. Earth Command's response came just as the Horizon's sensors detected a new wave of activity from the retreating Concordat fleet. Permission granted for Phase 2, Captain Chen. Show them what humanity can do. Sarah studied the tactical display, watching as the Concordat ships regrouped. Their formation was different now, more dispersed, less dependent on their neural networks. They were learning, adapting, just as she'd expected them to. Dr. Kovac, she called out, status of the quantum matrices. Elena looked up from her station, her eyes bright with anticipation. Recycled and ready, Captain. And I've made some improvements. The Concordat's attempt to counter our resonance frequencies gave me new data to work with. That was humanity's true advantage, Sarah reflected. Not just their technology, but their ability to learn and improve in real time. The Concordat saw change as a threat to their perfect order. Humans saw it as an opportunity. New transmission from the Concordat fleet. Maya announced, her neural interface pulsing with incoming data. But it's not from High Administrator Tyleth. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Put it through. The voice that filled the bridge was different from Tyleth's. Lower, rougher, with an underlying harmony that seemed almost discordant. Captain Chen. I am Sub-Commander Venera of the Centauri Collective. Request private communication channel. The bridge crew exchanged glances. The Centauri were one of the Concordat's client species, valued for their tactical expertise, but always kept subordinate to the ruling council. Secure channel established. Maya confirmed after receiving Sarah's nod. Speak freely, Sub-Commander, Sarah said, her mind already racing with possibilities. What you have demonstrated here, Venra's voice carried an emotion Sarah hadn't heard from any Concordat species before. Hope. It proves what some of us have long suspected. The Concordat's dominance is not absolute. Their technology is not infallible. Sarah leaned forward in her command chair. Are you suggesting what I think you're suggesting, Sub-Commander? The Zentari are not the only ones who chafe under Concordat rule. Their perfect harmony is maintained through strict control of technological development. Many species have been limited to maintain the hierarchy. Rodriguez's tactical display suddenly lit up with new alerts. Captain, detecting power fluctuations in multiple Zentari vessels. They're powering down their weapons. The Concordat believes they can contain your species, Venra continued. They fear what your example might inspire in others. Already, there are whispers among the subjugated species. Your quantum resonance technology proves that new paths are possible. Sarah felt the weight of the moment. What had started as a desperate defense of Earth was becoming something much bigger. What exactly are you proposing, Sub-Commander? An alliance. The Zentari Collective has maintained certain secret developments of our own. Combined with your quantum resonance technology, we might finally have a chance to break the Concordat's control. Before Sarah could respond, Alina's voice cut through the tension. Captain, massive energy spike from the Concordat flagship. They're charging something big. The view screen filled with blinding light as the flagship's crystalline structure began to pulse with unprecedented power. Kylith's voice boomed across all frequencies. The human vessel has corrupted our Zentari allies. Cleansing protocols authorized. Initiate final sanction. Multiple quantum signatures detected. Rodriguez reported, his hands flying across his tactical controls. Like our resonance field, but different, more powerful. They're trying to overcome our advantage with brute force, Alina added, her console streaming with data. The energy readings are off the charts. Sarah's mind raced. The Concordat was willing to sacrifice their own perfect harmony to maintain control. But in doing so, they demonstrated exactly why their system needed to change. Sub-Commander Venra, she broadcast, if we're going to do this, it needs to be now. The Concordat just proved they'll destroy their own ideals to maintain power. We can show them a better way. For a moment, silence filled the void. Then, throughout the Concordat fleet, Zentari ships began breaking formation. Not just a few, but dozens, their crystalline hulls dimming as they powered down their neural links to the Concordat network. Send to Earth Command, Sarah ordered Maya. Phase 2 has evolved beyond original parameters, requesting authorization to proceed with Zentari Alliance. The game has changed. We're no longer just fighting for humanity's survival. We're fighting for freedom throughout the galaxy. As she waited for Earth's response, Sarah watched the space between the horizon and the Concordat flagship fill with quantum energy. Whatever happened next would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy. But first, they had to survive the Concordat's final sanction. The real battle was about to begin. And now it wasn't just humanity's future hanging in the balance. Sometimes, Sarah reflected, the most important victories weren't won through superior firepower, but through the courage to imagine a different future. Breaking the chains. The space between the fleets erupted with quantum energy, a maelstrom of destructive power that threatened to tear reality itself apart. The Concordat flagship's crystal structure had transformed into a lattice of pure energy, channeling power that defied conventional physics. Analysis, Sarah demanded, gripping her command chair as the horizon's sensors struggled to process the readings. Alina's fingers danced across her console, her face illuminated by the quantum storm. They've inverted their entire bioorganic network. They're using their ship's neural links to create a massive quantum nullification field. If it touches us, our resonance technology will be useless. And not just yours, Venra's voice added over the secure channel. The nullification field will destroy any technology that doesn't conform to Concordat specifications. They would rather crush innovation itself than allow change. Sarah watched as the energy storm grew, spreading like cosmic lightning between the Concordat ships. Those Centauri vessels that had sided with humanity were falling back, their own bioorganic systems vulnerable to the nullification effect. "Dr. Kovac," Sarah called out, "you said their attempt to counter our resonance frequencies gave you new data. Time to use it." Elena nodded, her expression intense with concentration. The Concordats thinking too linearly. They believe overwhelming power is the answer to everything. But quantum mechanics doesn't work that way. Sometimes the smallest perturbation can have the biggest effect. "Captain," Rodriguez interrupted, Earth Command responding to Alliance request. Message reads, "Trust your judgment. Humanity stands ready to welcome new allies. Victory at all costs." Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Earth understood what was at stake. Not just survival, but the chance to build something better than the Concordats' rigid hierarchy. "Venra, can your ships modify their neural networks to match the frequency I'm sending you?" Elena asked, transmitting data through their secure channel. Yes, I see what you're attempting," the Centauri commander replied, a note of admiration in their harmonic voice. "It's brilliant. Risky, but brilliant." Sarah looked between Elena and the tactical display. "Explain." "The Concordat's nullification field works by imposing perfect order on quantum states," Elena said, her hands still moving across her controls. "But quantum mechanics fundamentally resists perfect order. By introducing carefully calibrated chaos into the system, we can make their own power turn against them." Sarah finished, understanding dawning. "Just like we did with the resonance field, but on a larger scale." "Exactly. But we'll need the Centauri ships to help create the interference pattern. Our quantum core alone isn't powerful enough." Sarah nodded decisively. "Venra, position your ships in a hexagonal formation around the horizon. Maya, broadcast to all allied vessels. Prepare for synchronized quantum pulse on my mark." The space around them shifted as the Centauri ships moved into position, their crystalline hulls glowing with rebuilt neural energy. The Concordats' nullification storm continued to grow, threatening to engulf them all. "They're powering up for a final burst," Rodriguez reported, "reading energy levels beyond anything in our database." "Let them come," Sarah said, standing at her command station. Sometimes the greatest strength lies in knowing when to bend rather than stand rigid. "Maya, open a channel to High Administrator Tyleth." The administrator's voice filled the bridge, now a chorus of barely controlled fury. "Your resistance is futile. Order must be maintained. The galaxy must remain in harmony." "You're right about one thing, Administrator," Sarah replied calmly. "Harmony is important. But true harmony doesn't come from forcing everyone to play the same note. It comes from finding beauty in different voices coming together. Allow me to demonstrate." She nodded to Elena. Now, the Horizon's quantum core pulsed in sync with the Centauri ships, creating a web of interconnected frequencies that danced and shifted like auroral lights. Instead of fighting against the Concordats' nullification field, they let it in, but on their terms. The effect was immediate and stunning. The nullification wave hit their combined quantum field and fractalized, its perfectly ordered energy splitting into countless smaller patterns. Each fragment reflected and refracted through the Centauri formation, creating a cascade of quantum interactions that the Concordats' rigid systems couldn't process. "Their neural network is overloading," Elena reported, excitement in her voice. "The nullification field is collapsing in on itself." Through the view screen, Sarah watched as the mighty Concordat flagship's crystalline structure began to pulse erratically. The imposed order that had been their strength for so long was becoming their weakness. Multiple signs of cascade failure throughout their fleet, Rodriguez added. "Their ships are losing cohesion. Wait, detecting new quantum signatures. More ships are dropping out of their network." It wasn't just the Centauri now. Throughout the Concordat fleet, vessels of different species were breaking free of the neural network, their crews choosing chaos and freedom over rigid order. The balance of power in the galaxy was shifting, not through overwhelming force, but through the simple demonstration that another way was possible. Sarah Chen and the U.S. Horizon had done more than save Earth. They had sparked a revolution in the stars, a new symphony. In the aftermath of the quantum storm, the void of space was filled with crystalline debris, glittering like stars born from the death of an old order. The Concordat flagship hung motionless, its once perfect lattice structure now fractured and dark. Throughout the fleet, ships of various species were powering up their systems independently for the first time in generations. "Status report," Sarah commanded, her voice hoarse from the intensity of the battle. "Quantum core stabilizing at 42% capacity," Elena reported. "The resonance field held, but we'll need significant repairs before we can generate another full-power pulse." Rodriguez's tactical display showed a transformed battlefield. Over 60% of the Concordat fleet has dropped out of their neural network. The remaining ships are pulling back to defensive positions. They've lost their ability to project a unified quantum field. "Message incoming," Maya announced. "Multiple sources. It's not just Tylith anymore." Sarah straightened in her command chair. "Put them through. All of them." The bridge filled with a chorus of voices, each distinct yet harmonizing in their own way. The multi-toned resonance of Tylith was there, but now it was just one voice among many. "Captain Chen." Tylith began, their perfect harmony now wavering with uncertainty. "You have destroyed everything we built. Millennia of perfect order, undone by a single human ship." "No," Sarah replied firmly. "We haven't destroyed anything worth preserving. We've shown that true harmony doesn't require rigid control. Look at your fleet now. Different species, different technologies, all finding their own voice while still working together." Another voice joined in, this one with the crystalline timbre of the Mesrins, long thought to be the Concordat's most loyal supporters. "For centuries, we believed unity required uniformity. Your quantum resonance technology showed us another way. Different frequencies can create new harmonies." The Concordat's greatest fear, Venra added, was that chaos would destroy civilization. "Instead, you've proven that adaptation and diversity make us stronger." Sarah stood, addressing all the gathered species. "Earth doesn't want to destroy the Concordat. We want to help transform it. Imagine what we could achieve if we combined humanity's innovation with your bioorganic technology. Not by forcing everyone to conform to a single standard, but by learning from each other's differences." There was a long moment of silence, filled only by the soft hum of the Horizon's recovering systems. Finally, Tylith spoke again, but their voice was different, humbler, yet somehow more genuine. Perhaps we have been in harmony for so long that we forgot how harmony is created. It is not imposed from above. It grows from below, from different voices finding ways to complement each other." Elena's console suddenly lit up with new data. "Captain, I'm detecting quantum signatures I've never seen before. The liberated ships, they're beginning to create their own neural networks, but they're different, more flexible, adaptive." Sarah watched through the view screen as patterns of energy began to flow between the various ships, not in the rigid lattice of the old Concordat, but in flowing, ever-changing configurations that resembled the aurora borealis. "They're sharing technology," Rodriguez observed, "but each species is modifying it to suit their own needs. The Zentari are focusing on tactical applications, the Mesrins on communication, others on aspects we don't even understand yet." "That," Sarah said with a smile, "is how you build real harmony. Not by forcing everyone to play the same note, but by letting each voice contribute its own unique sound to the greater symphony." Maya's neural interface pulsed with incoming transmissions. "Captain, we're receiving requests for technological and cultural exchange from 17 different species. Earth command is, they're ecstatic. This goes beyond our wildest expectations for first contact. Sarah looked around at her crew. Human too had faced impossible odds and changed the course of galactic history not through superior firepower, but through the courage to imagine and demonstrate a better way. "Send to Earth Command," she ordered. Mission accomplished. The U.S. horizon has secured not just humanity's survival, but our place in a new galactic community, one based not on domination and control, but on mutual respect and the celebration of our differences. As she watched the newly liberated ships beginning to coordinate with each other, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. They had set out to defend Earth from extinction and ended up helping to free a galaxy from the chains of enforced perfection. "Dr. Kovac," she called out, "begin compiling everything we've learned about quantum resonance technology. We'll need to share it with our new allies and let them show us how to improve it in ways we never imagined." The quantum core hummed with renewed energy as the Horizon prepared to lead the fleet back to Earth. But this time, they wouldn't be coming as conquerors.